Welcome to our protest and march in solidarity with Louisville to demand justice for Breonna Taylor. You're not loud enough. We are saddened and pained and angered by this tragedy, and we want to feel all of those emotions today as we apply pressure here in State College and against our oppressive institutions here, across the nation, and the world. We are here to challenge police brutality, white supremacy, and anti-blackness in all its forms. We are here to send a message to the Attorney General, the grand jury, to police that we won't wait to demand justice, and if you don't get it here, we are shutting it down.
Yes.
Okay, just for quick introductions, I'm Nyla. I'm the president of the Black Caucus. I'm going to be co-emceeing this march with Tiara. No justice?
No peace.
No justice?
No peace.
Hi everyone, I'm Tiara. I'm one of the leaders of the 320 Coalition. And today I just want to thank everybody for coming out here. I want to especially thank the Divine Nine and Greek Life. I see you all are out here. I think Alpha Fraternity Incorporated delivered water for us. Am I correct? So we want to thank them. I also see members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. I don't know if I'm missing anyone. I myself am a member of Sept Sorority Incorporated, so I'm really glad to see the Greeks up, and I hope you guys come out. Thank you, athletes, all of you all who scream "We Are Penn State" are actually out here when "We Are" matters. So I appreciate you all being out here. And today is about Breonna, and it's about so many other black women who lost their lives at the hand of the police, and nothing is done about it. So thank you guys for coming out. No justice.
No peace.
No racist.
Police.
And I'd also like to introduce our chant leader for today, Audra.
Hi everyone, I'm Audra Kubin. I'm a senior at Penn State, and I'm the co-vice president of Black Student Athletes at Penn State. Thank you guys for showing out today.
Okay, so the first thing we are going to be doing today is taking over whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
And disrupting the normal. And everyone has a part in this. So as we first take this intersection right here where we stand, understand that it takes all of us to take this space. So no people on the sidelines, put your bodies on the line. We're going to take over this intersection right now. Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets. 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 Our streets.
Right here in this intersection, you can stay right here. We're going to have some talks first, and you can face this way.
Tell them to spread out.
Spread out, social distance. Remember, you can come closer. Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
Okay, so the first speaker we're going to be having is Audra Kubin.
Hello everyone. As you've heard, my name is Audra Kubin. I'm a senior at Penn State. In 1962, Malcolm X said, "The most disrespected person in America is a black woman." As things have unfolded over the past few days in Breonna Taylor's case, I think we can all hold this notion to be true over 50 years later. We have been saying Breonna's name for over 194 days. Influencers and supposed allies have been using her name as a slogan that validates their so-called wokeness. Brands have profited off her name and image. She has been used for TikToks, for songs, for memes, for documentaries. Whether we wanted to suppress it or not, we all became familiar with the name Breonna Taylor. Demanding that the officers who killed her be arrested became a slogan that was overused without any implementation of action. Like many black women in America, Breonna Taylor was used for the gain of others. Her name wasn't used to commemorate her life, but to put the focus on the system that failed her. Her family was given a substantial settlement for a wrongful death, yet we are still waiting for her life to be valued more than damage to a wall. No matter how far they will go to justify the death of Breonna Taylor, we must find empathy to see her case for what it really is: a death of an innocent black woman, unsuspecting, in her home by those who were sworn to protect us. This is how it goes, right? A black woman is killed, a black man is killed, and no justice is served. We're the ones who are crazy to demand justice, right? Protestors are the ones who are arrested for protesting the unlawful treatment of black people. That's how the system works. Well, I challenge you to not accept that today. I don't accept the lousy settlement that was paid out in an effort to make up for her death. I don't accept that only one officer was charged. I don't accept that accessory to crime holds no stance in this case. I don't accept the decision made by Attorney General Daniel Cameron. I don't accept any of it, and I hope that you won't either. Let's breathe life into Breonna's name again. Let's remember her for the bossy, caring, fun woman that her mother describes her as. When we say her name, let's say it with conviction, as if Breonna Taylor was your sister, your mother, your grandmother, your friend. Again and again, we say enough is enough, but what are we doing to make sure that enough is actually enough? What are we doing to make sure that black women are protected? Healing and unlearning behavior starts with yourself, starts within. It's important to acknowledge that we all have things that we can improve upon. It is only when we begin to heal ourselves that we can really pour into the people around us. Are we refusing to confront our unhealthy views of black women? Black women, are we refusing to confront the unhealthy views of ourselves? Do we sit back while colorism reveals itself? Is there internalized racism, homophobia, transphobia, misogyny that is holding us back from really fighting for all of the black community? Black men, are you willing to stand up for us when no one else will? Allies, are you willing to use your privilege to amplify voices? Hold your friends accountable. Hold your families accountable. Don't let the disrespect of black women go without consequence around you. We are black women. We empower, we build, we love, we sustain. We want to be heard. We want to be empathized with. We want our experiences as all different kinds of black women to be validated. We deserve better. Breonna deserved better. Justice for Breonna. Thank you.
Thank you, Audra. Next, we're going to hear from Olivia.
Hey, y'all. All right, I'm gonna have to take a deep breath real quick because this is new to me. But I just want to thank y'all for coming. Being here means that you care, and I just want to give you guys a round of applause for that. So, close your eyes. Please, everyone, close your eyes. Breathe in. The person standing to your right, what's their name? What's their favorite food? Breathe out. To your left, what are their hobbies? What's their most favorite place in the world? Breathe in. What's your name? Who are your loved ones? Breathe out. Now open your eyes. With your eyes closed, you are blind to the appearance of your neighbors, made assumptions about their lives without seeing. Imagine being on the receiving end of an individual with their eyes physically open, but their receptors are closed. Blinded by their assumptions regarding your appearance, making decisions affecting your life based on those assumptions of who you are, what you do, who you love, how you act, and what you value. Choosing a specific, biased, horrific treatment towards you based on those set assumptions, based on the color of your skin. Now, I'm not an expert on Breonna Taylor's killing. I'm not an expert on George Floyd's killing, and I'm not an expert on Ahmaud Arbery's killing. I was not physically present at their murders, but my soul was. Each and every death, each and every video of a murder, each and every story strips away part of my soul. My soul is tired. Is yours? My soul, my identity, have felt threatened since the day I was born. Not for my own wrongdoings, but as a side effect of living in someone else's world, in someone else's nation. Where a strong, beautiful, independent black woman like myself is not supported, but broken down. My strength, my beauty, my identity is oppressed daily by appropriation without recognition and constant reminders that black women might hold the world on our backs, but will never receive the payment of love for our efforts. Imagine you were just confronted by an officer. I would have my ID in my lanyard on my wrist, as I do everywhere I go, even when I'm driving. And I would say, "My name is Olivia Grace Jack. My family calls me Liva, Livy, Olivia Grace. My friends call me Liv. I'm a student athlete here at Penn State. I'm a swimmer. I'm the co-president of the Athletes for Equal Rights nonprofit organization, the conference co-director of the Caribbean Student Organization here at Penn State, and I'm the president and the founder of the new Black Student Athletes Organization here at Penn State." Thank you. See, I wouldn't have made it through that statement without interruptions, without shaking, without praying that I would make it home. Would you? Would you be able to fully identify yourself if a police officer pulled you over? My identity is one of the most important parts of me, something I hold close to my heart. I was born in Saginaw, Michigan, the first of 4 children in my family. I've lived in Barbados, Brooklyn, and Albany, New York. My mother is white, she's German and Italian, and my father, he's black. He was born and raised in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a nation in the Caribbean, and I'm a mix of the two, Vincentian, German, Italian, and American. My skin is black, and I am black. I've struggled with that whole definition my whole life, whether to say I'm black or mixed. If I say I'm black to some people, they think that I'm disregarding the white genes that are part of my being. If I say I'm mixed, it's assumed that I'm not willing to embrace my black skin. I've decided over the years with countless surveys asking me to choose one racial identity that I'm black. And I love my mom's side of the family, and the genes my mom gave me just the same. If I had the choice to pick more than one race, of course I'd say I'm Vincentian, I'm German, and I'm Italian, but there's never that choice. I guess that's one of the first things I noticed about being black in a nation where you're either white or other. There's no identity given on any governmental documents where I can truly define myself as what I am. My grandparents were not slaves. Slavery was abolished in 1865 with the passing of the 13th Amendment, so they say. Throughout school, though, there was a common question as to whether my grandparents or great-grandparents were slaves. My great-grandmother is still alive. Her name's Grandma Pearl, and she's in her mid-80s. Unless she's traveled to the future and created a family, she's not and never was a slave. If they were asked about the originality of my last name, though, Jack, they would respectfully discover that it was given to past family members who were enslaved by the British on the island of St. Vincent, the nation emancipated from Britain in my father's lifetime in 1979 when my dad was 10 years old. That was the second thing I noticed about living in a nation where black skin is not the expected, not the respected skin tone. I've learned about the same United States history throughout elementary school, middle school, high school, and even now, highlighting all the great and wonderful things accomplished by the white people of the nation, touching on slavery for a day or two, in which my classmates would turn and ask me ridiculous questions. And when we did spend a few days about talking about slavery, it was always as though we were tiptoeing around the issue of it all, as though in some way there was a reason why slavery should be validated for its presence. Imagine if we were not taught from the very beginning that Thomas Jefferson was an angel of a man and a president, but instead that he raped the slaves that he owned, ending up creating black children that had lighter skin tones and still worked as house slaves. What if we grew up learning the history of all the members of this nation? If we learned that Native Americans did in fact know this land existed before Christopher Columbus found it? And making those lives that lived in the land work for him, either work for him or die. What if we grew up learning to celebrate the number of cultures we have in this country as equal in nature, instead of assuming the superiority of the white race? We cannot drill into the minds of children the ideas of one racial superiority anymore. It's education that leads to decision making. If someone is taught their whole lives that black people, minorities, are inferior to them with their white skin, and they themselves believe in that, they'll think that it's right to treat them the wrong way as they have the past 500 plus years. When will we get rid of the what ifs? The time for change was yesterday, except yesterday was centuries ago. If little black girls like me grow up in a predominantly white neighborhood, are taught that their skin is something that she might be punished for having, how can we grow up loving the very skin that we live in, the very skin that others seem to hate? I did not always love my black skin, my curly afro, and believed I love straight, but I realized at one age that that was not my natural hair and I didn't need to do it anymore. But so, I believed that I learned when my hair was naturally curly, as it should be, I was still ostracized about the different texture, as though it was a foreign object that needed to be examined and figured out. I was constantly asked, and I'm still asked, how to wash it, how I handle it. I fit into the cap that I wear every day during swim practice. There were many people who were asking simply out of curiosity, who meant no different from their own. Although there were times when the questions were worded, presented, and stated as though my hair was something that couldn't be maintained. I'm tired of being examined. I'm not a foreign specimen. Other than pigmented skin, I have melanin, afro, and I have light brown eyes. I'm simply different. I'm a beautiful mix of my mother. And for any other student athletes that are here, watch out for monthly events that we're going to have for all athletes that will help develop our community and our Penn State community, not just for athletes, but for everyone around us that supports us. So if y'all are ready to take my phone number, I'm going to send it out right now.
And I just want to say it takes a lot of courage to start an organization. So the fact that you decided that you needed something and you saw a need for it and then you stepped out there to do it, it takes a lot for that. And you might have some targets on your back, but these organizations here, we all got your back, so we're here for you. Our next speaker I would like to introduce is Monet Smith.
Hey, my name's Monet. I'm Political Action Chair for Black Caucus. So 2020 and social issues in general tend to stress me out. And I think if you aren't stressed by 2020 and social issues, you're privileged. So I wrote this piece based on this stress. A system cannot protect those who it never had in mind to protect. People say racism today doesn't exist, as if one day between now and 60 years ago, when our grandparents were beaten and lynched and treated like animals, people people just woke up one day and said, you know what, I'm going to change my ideologies and put my own self-interest aside. This is America. The majority are never going to naturally wake up and one day decide to choose morality over their own self-interest. Yet people say racism today doesn't exist. People say now everything is equal. They say black struggles are his own fault. Let me start by saying this. Just because someone isn't spitting in my face and calling me a racial slur every day doesn't mean that racism does not exist. The issue is people fail to see that the fault of the design of the system continues to impact us today. Slavery ended just 4 generations ago, and after its end, we were given no real chance of equality and social mobility. We received no percentage of the wealth we curated for this country, large businesses and corporations. We were denied equal education until 1964 when the Civil Rights Act was passed. People fail to realize that these historic systems still oppress us today and not a lot has changed. When we talk about how this impacts us today, they fail to realize that our public education is currently broken. We have a public education system in America unlike any other country that is based on in which your quality of education is based on the property tax of your income. Therefore, people in the lower income neighborhoods where African American and other minorities in America tend to be placed are automatically receive lower education. They fail to realize that the cost of college disproportionately affects minority and African American citizens. Since we don't have that generational wealth and we never received those reparations years ago to build our generational wealth, therefore a lot of us cannot afford $50,000 schools like Penn State. We have a criminal justice system that focuses on strategies, that focuses their energy on strategies that further the disruption of African American communities and that further generational incarceration. They put resources into these systems that disproportionately hurt our America, and that study after study shows not only does not work, but actually worsens the problem. There are currently 2.2 million African Americans currently in detention centers. We also see these issues through housing segregations and zoning issues. Study after study shows that in these areas where African Americans are placed, that no matter the race in these inner city zone and transition areas, whether it's Hispanic, Italian, white, Asian, these areas are automatically disproportionately more likely to have higher crime rates and other social issues. But yet people say racism doesn't exist today. People say racism doesn't exist today when we use our First Amendment rights that people cherish so dearly, we're automatically painted. They do everything in their power to paint us as thugs and vigilantes, when that is not the overwhelming truth. But you know why they choose to focus on ignorance? Because when one is blinded by ignorance or their dislike for another, they cannot see the bigger issues in play. They become so focused in the fear created by strategy that they can't see that they are being made a pawn. The real thing to fear is not their brothers and sisters from another race, but it is a lack of affordable health care. It is an inequality in public education. It is a leader who denies the seriousness of the pandemic-created virus and ignores health officials for their own ratings. It is the impossibility of a $7.25 minimum wage. It is climate change, in which studies have shown we only have 7 years before we have irreversible damage that affects our daily lives. It is losing their constitutional rights. That is something that we need to fear. It is not okay, and we cannot sit idly by while we have a government that sends the military to restrict people's First Amendment freedom of speech and freedom of assembly rights. That is not okay. But they don't want the majority to fear the issues that actually impact their lives. They currently do and always have want them to instead fear people, our people. Because our people. Because when everyone comes together and works together with morality and compassion in their hearts, they lose power. And if you think what's going on today has nothing to do with voting in this election, you're fooling yourself. All of these systems that work against us, mass incarceration, housing segregation, broken public education, minimum wage, police brutality, where do you think they start? Ruth Bader Ginsburg, God rest her soul, argued for our Fourth Amendment freedom, and she said that police should not have the right and not be able to go into people's house without a warrant. They ruled against her because she wasn't the majority at the time. And now we have to face the fact that Breonna Taylor, God rest her soul, will not receive justice. And if we do not act now, there will be 50 more Breonna Taylors, our mothers, our aunties, our friends, us, that receive no justice as well. A system cannot protect those who we never had in mind to protect. So if we want to change, we have to work for that change. So if you don't do one thing after being here at this protest, don't just post a hashtag, don't just post a black screen, vote. Because our lives are at stake, and we need to do better and act with morality. Because morality is not a political issue. Because morality is not a political statement, and this election is life or death. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monet, political active chair of the Student Black Caucus. Yeah, you touched on two major things. Definitely we need to go out and vote, because if we don't vote, if you guys don't vote, then you can't complain the next 4 years. So we have to go out and vote. Thank you so much. Last but not least, at this moment, our speaker will be Danielle Tracy.
I write for those women who do not speak, for those who do not have a voice because they were so terrified, because we are taught to respect fear more than ourselves. We have been taught that silence would save us, but it won't. Audre Lorde. My name is Danielle Tracy, and I am a student, a senior here at Penn State, and I am the president of Writers Organized to Represent Diverse Stories. And today I did not come prepared with a profound speech, but I just want to speak from my heart and from my experience here at Penn State, and hopefully be able to articulate something that is meaningful, that will help us today to move through this process and to continue to move through our lives. So, like I said, my name is Danielle Tracy. I'm a senior here, and yesterday at the vigil, I recited a speech, I am me, I'm a black woman who does not, in a world that does not love me. And I wrote this poem 4 years ago from my first experience here at Penn State as a freshman. And I can say that I'm simply not surprised that this is still relevant today, because it has been relevant for all of our lives for 100 years. So my experience at Penn State was a student, and I was walking across campus and I felt like I was getting a lot of stares. They were looking at me. I was the only black student and black woman in my class. And it's a new environment for me. So I would say I grew up in Philadelphia, and I was born in Jamaica, and majority of the people I've been around my entire life were black people, Caribbean people. So this is an environment that is something that's new for me. So coming into State College and coming into Penn State, I was in a new environment. I felt that I was expected to speak on behalf of all black people and to speak on behalf of all black women in my class. And I just want to say that you should not feel obligated to speak. You should not feel obligated to speak on behalf of your whole race, because that's not your job. You should be prioritizing yourself, and like many people said yesterday, you should not be normalizing what we see on social media. You should not be normalizing what we see here with so many black lives being lost and taken from us. Like many people said, this could be you, this could be your aunt, this could be your brother, your sister, and this is not okay. And like many people said, you should be out voting, you should be out doing what you can, and I'm so happy and grateful to see everyone out here today putting in the simple effort, because it definitely takes a lot. It takes strength, it takes courage to just be here and wake up every single day. And I can say I did not get any sleep last night because I couldn't. My soul was not at ease, it was not at rest, and I know this is true for many of the people out here today. So I want to just say that speech for I also have another quote to share, and it is that I am not free, while any woman is unfree, even when her shackles are very different from my own, and this is also by our dear Lord. And I want to say that, like this quote said, we're not all free if each and every one of us is not free. And we should continue to fight, and we should continue to be fighting for each other. It does not matter your race, it does not matter your ethnicity, it does not matter your sex, it does not matter because we're not all free. And today I want us to go out and to remember that because I have chills all over my body because I cannot rest until we are all free. I cannot rest my soul in his faith because even though I'm not the well political matters and all of these issues, and like I said, you should not even have an education to know that lives are being taken. That should not be an excuse, and I just want us to continue to know that and to continue to educate ourselves and go out and take the initiatives, especially today and in this election, like many people said. So thank you so much for coming out today, and I appreciate you guys, and we will continue to fight, and we will continue to get justice for everyone in Breonna Taylor. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Danielle. I think that last part is super important. So like in academia, they have so many like theories, and the theories are based off of lived experience. So please don't feel like you don't have enough education, or you don't know the theories that well, or you didn't pay attention in this class, so you don't have the authority to speak on something, because if you're living it, you are it, and no one should be able to tell you differently. Okay, so next we are going to hear from Nanre.
Clap her up, clap her up.
My name is Nanre. I just finished my PhD August 15th. I wasn't going to say that, but I just thought I wanted to say that because in the middle of COVID, in the middle of Black Lives Matter, I really didn't think it was ever going to happen. But we have to celebrate ourselves.
Yes.
I'm going to take a little bit of a harsher tone right now, if you don't mind. The Webster's Dictionary defines impunity as the exemption of punishments, the exemption of harm or loss as a consequence of an action. A name that I've constantly been hearing and whose name has been ringing in my mind over the last few months has been Emmett Till. On September 23, 1955, the murderers of Emmett Till were exonerated by an all-white jury, who I just read were allowed to drink on duty. Fast forward 65 years, September 23, 2020. The murderers of Breonna Taylor were exonerated completely. The only implication was for the shots that were missed, not for the shots that pierced through the skin of her soft black body. Many people will not read about the hours after Breonna's murder, how her body was left in the building for hours, how her mother was sent back and forth between the hospital and her home with lies being told. But I want to talk today about impunity. Where does this impunity come from? Why does it happen time and time back again. 99% of the officers who have killed black people are walking around the streets free. In State College, officers 1, 2, and 3 killed Osaze Osage on March 20th, 2019, and they are walking around free.
Talk about that.
Every time I see a police in my rearview mirror, I think, is he Officer 1?
That's right.
There is no consequence, and this is the meaning of impunity. I talk about impunity because impunity does not come from you liking or hating or you having black friends or I having white friends or if I can speak or walk into a store. Impunity is what happens when there is no consequence for these actions. When black people are hurt, when black people feel pain, when this is inflicted upon our minds, our souls, our bodies, there is no consequence. And this is impunity. Impunity is being free after killing, is being free after doing whatsoever you please. Osaze was killed 3 shots in the back. How do you justify that? Breonna was killed sleeping. How do you justify that? But impunity comes from systemic and systematic racism and a legal system of white supremacy which is designed to kill, cage, and enslave black and brown people. And this system is doing exactly what it is designed to do. It is doing what it is supposed to do. It is not that the system is failing. The problem is the system is working. And where is this invisible system? It is in every law, it is in every policy, it is in the curriculum, it is in your textbooks, it is in the food that you eat, who farmed it and who was paid and not paid, it is in the clothes that we wear. This is white supremacy, and it is killing our minds, our souls, and it is killing our bodies. So it's not that we want to sit here and talk about loving each other. It's very important. But if we all happen to love each other, if we all support each other, if we support our black friends and sisters and brothers, that is good and wonderful and definitely needed. We have to do that. We have to heal our souls, we have to heal our relationships, and we have to love. But I want you to know right here, right now, if the whole Penn State University, the whole of State College, and the whole Sept County came together and sang Kumbaya together, we are not going to change the system. But you see, as powerful as that love is, it will not bring back Osaze. It will not bring back Breonna. It will not free the men and women sitting in the prisons just a few miles from here for small petty crimes. It will not break open the jail cells. So we must be, and you ask all the time, oh, what can I do, what can I do? We must dismantle the system. We must dismantle the system. This system needs to be taken back down. It needs to be taken down brick by brick. And this is a painstaking and hard journey that is very difficult. So if we truly want to respect the legacy of Breonna, the legacy of Emmett, the legacy of Osaze, we have to take apart this system. We have to defund the police. We have to take the cops out of our schools. We have to take the cops out of our universities. We have to divest from prisons. We have to take everything down. We have to pass the Breed Act. We have to tell Penn State to divest from prisons, to divest from the police. We have to make this happen. And when we take it down, we have to be ready to build it back up. And that is the challenge to the generations that are standing here. We know what we don't want. We need to know what we are going to build. In every program, in every step you take, in your engineering, in your biology, in your writing, in every every single thing that you do, how are you building a system that is just and fair and that takes impunity and throws it out of the window and declares that Black lives matter. And they matter more every day. Because it is from this hatred, it is from this pain that we're going to take apart the system and we are going to build it back up. I'll close with the words of Asada Shakur. She said, "It is our duty to fight for freedom." Can someone tell me the end of that? It is our duty to win. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Monterey. What she also failed to mention is she is my other co-leader for the 320 Coalition. So she failed to mention that while she was up here getting her PhD praise. But so if you have questions, that's the 320 Coalition. We have a lot of people out here, and a lot of these people with these pink bandanas are part of our de-escalation team, which Bailey is going to come and talk to you guys about right now.
Hi everyone, real quick, like Tiara mentioned, my name is Bailey. I'm helping coordinate the community defense team. We've been asked to be here to help ensure that the protest can go on however y'all want it to happen. It is your protest. We're not here to tell you how to protest. Go protest however you want. We are here to keep people from the outside coming in and dictating how this protest happens. So if you need help interacting with the police, or people trying to escalate some situation, or any other kind of help, just reach out to people wearing a pink bandana. If you look around, you'll see a couple of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Bailey. So lastly, before we go off on our march, and the march will start that way, we are going to have a performance by Kat.
Yes.
Everybody, once again, the stand is too small.
Well, I'm hoping my battery holds out.
As you mentioned, my name is John Cash, but you guys can all call me Cash. I'm a women's basketball player here at PSU. Thank you. I recently transferred over here from Southern Methodist University. It's located in Dallas, Texas. It's a predominantly white institution. While there, I was told that I wasn't allowed to protest. I should just shut up and dribble. And as you see now, all my teammates are behind me. All my coaches are here. They're standing with us. And I love being here. And while I was there, I wrote a song. And last night I came out and I performed it for the first time. And I'm here today to do the same thing.
Yes.
Hit it, DJ. America, land of the red and blue. But what if I told you that this new America is not the America that we all once knew? Brothers dying, mothers crying, cops is hiding. Who's deciding who lives and who falls? Who will rise and who will fall? Then how many more people will it take to come together, unite? How many more people must die before we decide to fight? One shot, two shots, three shots, oh no, think we got another man down. 4 shots, 5 shots, can't breathe, can't think, somebody please pull their phone out. They say they protecting us, how? They say they taking us out. So what are we supposed to do now? I say we stand up and shout, it's time to reclaim all our freedoms, to rise above the issues that we come suppressed to. It's time to break through. It's time for me and you. Say it's time to fight for what we live for. don't say shit. You have the right to be shown a warrant before they search your car or your crib. Put the fifth on everything, don't have to tell them where you live or even your name. It's time to plan their demise. Yeah, it's time to rise. One day, this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be so evident that all men are created equal. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. But why do I sing if I'm unarmed? You still shoot me. We used to sing, let freedom ring, but now we sing. This is not my country. It's time to reclaim all our freedoms, to rise above the issues that we come to press to. It's time to break through. It's time for me and you. Say it's time to fight for what we live for. Don't let nobody silence you, but when they try to, remember all your rights so you can stand and fight. You have the right to remain silent, so when they question, don't say shit. You have the right to be shown a warrant before they search your car or your crib. Plead the fifth on everything, don't have to tell them where you live or even your name. It's time to plan their demise. Yeah, it's time to rise.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, another round of applause. How are we feeling? I need y'all to be louder than that. How are you feeling? Okay, so we shut down this intersection and now we're going to take whose streets?
Our streets! Our streets!
Alright, so a couple things to remember. We have water up here, so if you need to take water, please feel free to get some. So we're going to be taking water. There's t-shirts up here if you need one, from courtesy of the Penn State NAACP. They're right behind me. If you would like to bring a banner, there's some that you can take with you. So for this march, we're going to start heading in that direction. We would like black people to the front if you feel comfortable. The people with the Black Lives Matter